It is one of the strangest tales ever told. I think it will thrill you. It may shock you. It might even horrify you.
Welcome to the Dark Fantastic!
I'm not a monster, Jake.
I'll show you who I am and what I am.
Yeah, you love this one. It's a scream, baby.
It's showtime.
I am your mother.
Time to float.
I don't feel like she's not a mistake at all. Like she's better for being different.
Gender fluid.
No matter what, you keep finding something to fight for.
Hey, Michael!
What's your favorite scary movie?
You want stars? I'll give you stars.
So if any of you feel that you do not care to subject your nerves to such a strain, now is your chance to, well, we've warned you.
Hello, spooky individuals and groups. Maybe you listen to this podcast with other people. If so, hello all. This is Theme Park Workshop, a theme park podcast, but in October, we're a haunt podcast. My name is Adam Johnson, and I am joined here today with Kelley Hoffman.
Hello, spooky people.
And today is a special kind of episode because we were invited out to media night for one of our favorite local Florida haunts, which is Sir Henry's Haunted Trail, located halfway down Interstate 4. We've talked about this, like, from October to February, you'll get 3 Sir Henry's episodes out of us. That's just the facts. Because we love going to this event so much, and we are very thankful to be able to go to the media night events, which is also because of you, which leads me to the next thing. I want to shout out a very special group of people, and that's our patrons: Landon Kanoki, Jonathan Edward, Jordan Buster, Greg Harvey, Joshua Gonzalez, and Rachel Sprague, and Dwayne and Teresa Diker, our $20 patrons. You can join these wonderful people at our Patreon at patreon.com/themeparkworkshop. There you can just support the show if you want to, but at a $5 tier and more, you get bonus episodes, updates, and more. So thank you to our patrons, and thank you all for listening to the show, watching the show now that we're on video, and following our Instagram, our Twitter, our TikTok, our Facebook. You're still on Facebook. We do appreciate you. But let's get into Sir Henry's itself. Sir Henry's is a nonprofit haunt. The organization's proceeds go to the Folds of Honor in Fox Tales, Florida, because they're a 501c3, and the money made there goes to haunt upgrades and charitable giving. And boy, I can tell you, the haunt upgrades were very visible this year. And you can experience that from September 27th to November 2nd. So it's happening right now. You got until November 2nd. Fridays and Saturdays, it runs from 7:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. On Sundays, it runs from 7:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. So it's either, what's the math? 3.5 hours or 2 hours, and you must purchase your tickets online ahead of time and choose a time slot for your entry time. You can stay as long as you want, but you can't come in until it's your time. So choose wisely, plan ahead. We'll get into some ticket types and some other highlights. Actually, I'll do ticket types now, and then we'll talk about the merch and the food and all the other things you can do. There's 4 ticket types. The first one is your general admission. This gets you 1 entry into each trail and no hayride, and you're probably going to do that hayride. There's no hay. That's a $30 ticket. There's the all-access ticket, which is similar to general in that you have 1 entry of each trail in the general admission line, but you do get the hayride. So that's $15 more. That's $45. You have VIP, which is the one we recommend. That's not us being like, well, we went to media night, and so we're always going to push that. No. Every time we go, not as media, we always get this VIP one because it gets you 1 express entry of each trail. And then during the Halloween season, like what's happening right now, you do get to go on the hayride once, and you get unlimited general entry to each trail, and that's a pretty great perk to have, and that's $60. And if you love Sir Henry's like we do, and you want to keep on going and going and going and going, they do have a season pass where you basically get a VIP ticket every night all season, plus 10% off of merch. and that's $140. So of course we recommend the VIP, but that season pass is a pretty good deal. You pay for it in 3 visits. And then again, you have the general for $30, and then you have the all access, which is one of everything, which is $45. So yeah, we love this event. And Kelley, what did you think of this season from Media Night?
It was so much fun. And I did want to say really quick on some of the things you touched on with the tickets. First of all, I get hay fever if I'm around hay too much, especially touching it. Not great, by the way, for someone who loves haunts, but luckily it doesn't come up a lot except for hay rides. But this was great because last year we had to sit on hay, and I tried to be brave, and it didn't end up working out. So the hay ride was great. I'm glad I didn't miss it, but I was feeling ill afterwards. This year, no hay on the hayride at all. If anyone was wondering, there is some in one of the buildings as you're getting onto the hayride, but it is avoidable. So if you really needed to, you could ask. I was fine. I just put my nose in my shirt. This is also niche. I don't know if other people have this, but it's a popular allergy. I don't know if that's the right word. Common allergy, I think is I don't think anyone chooses it. It's not very exciting.
Top 10 allergy.
Top 10 allergy. But anyway, on the hayride itself, because some of them, even if you're not sitting on hay, they have it on there. There's none, which is great. I think they're adding a sign after I had almost missed out on it. So I don't know if it was just me that they decided to put up a sign for. That's, me being like, wow, they put it up for me. But they did say it after I had mentioned, oh my gosh, I thought I had to miss this. I did actually miss it. And then we went on again, and it was incredible. So I would say you don't want to miss that. It was one of my favorite things of the night. And then the VIP, so we often will go more than just the media night. So we always get VIP when we do that. But then Valentine's Day is usually only over one weekend. So they typically don't do a media for that. And we always get VIP. It's the most worth it, especially if you are like us, where you're in either the Tampa or Orlando area. From both of those areas, it's about an hour drive. If you're driving out an hour, which is very reasonable for how great it is, get the most out of it, though. Be able to do things multiple times. And if you listen to our Christmas episode from last year, there was a trail that we did so many times that we would not have gotten as fantastic of an experience if we didn't go through multiple times. And they'll recognize you, and it's very interesting to see like which things like pretty much happen every time. And there's like people who are like, they stick to their lines and they're all about it. And they're pretty consistent. And then there's some people who just kind of riff and like go all over the place. And it's just cool to see that. So to answer your question about this season, it is a great season. And it's really cool because if you haven't been to Sir Henry's or somehow haven't heard us talk about it, as we do very often, the people there, first of all, they just love what they do. They're all volunteers. So all the actors and the people working the event are all volunteers, which is incredible. But that means a lot of them are, there's a lot of older people as well who maybe just kind of want like something fun to do during these holidays, and maybe are actors or were actors. I mean, obviously they are because they're acting now, but throughout their career, and it gives them a chance to be creative, and I love that. But there's also a lot of young people. I mean, I think the youngest we've seen is about 7 years old. So there's usually a couple of like young kids like that. And then there's a lot of kids who are somewhere between the ages of like 12 and 18, who either aren't old enough yet to do other acting jobs or other haunts or whatever, if they want to do that, or just maybe they're local. Like, they're just really, really incredible young people who are kind of getting their foot in the door with a lot of them design their own characters. I think most of them that we've met have designed their own characters that are really, really incredible. They get to go to conventions with Sir Henry's. They get to meet people during media night and during the event. And I don't know, I talk about this every time, but I just think it's really cool how they give such an opportunity to both young people and maybe people who are retired and just want something fun to do. And And there's all kinds of people in between those as well, but it's just really neat to see. And the young people make me the most happy because I love spooky people, and it starts when you're young. So it's really cool. But we saw a lot of recurring actors and their brand new characters, which are absolutely incredible. Nocturna the Bat is amazing. Um, why am I blanking on names for everyone? Smiles is fantastic. The Tooth Fairy and oh geez, you're gonna have to
Parrish
cut this out.
is who you're thinking.
Parrish. I'm like, I look so bad. Parrish, don't hate me. But Parrish is a fantastic character as well. Like just, but there's so many other ones. Like we really
Stefan.
enjoyed Stefan as well,
Kind of
who's
like an orc.
super fun. Yes. There's so many more I could go on. There's a really cool, like old-timey photographer. Of course, there's a guy who always has a puppet, and that is just has gotten better and better with the effects and the voices, and it's just really cool. And the trails I felt like were really strong this year, especially one, which I know we'll get into talking about each trail. There was one in particular that it's probably one of my favorite ones I've ever done. At Sir Henry's. It's probably not number one because there's so many good ones that I've been going since 2020. But it's up there. It's fantastic. And I think that everybody needs to go out there and see it. And then the Haunted Trail, I think this is their second year, and it was even better this year than last year. So and I loved it last year. They did a great job.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the hayride. You know what? Let's talk about I was going to talk about merch and food. Let's talk about the attractions.
Yes. Let's do it.
So let's start with the hayride. Since we were just left off there, as we are talking about, there's no hay. So if you do have a hay allergy, you can enjoy the hayride experience. And I 100% agree with everything you were saying about the event, like just how it is this year. Like it's excellent, everything you said. But the hayride, I think I enjoyed the hayride, but like I could have done without it last year, honestly. Like I enjoyed it, but like I was left wanting, and some of it was just from like technical aspects. It was their first time, and they're working out kinks and everything. And this year, everything that they could have learned from last year, I think they did learn this year. The audio is better because it's on your tractor, and so you can hear it very clearly. If you're sitting in the back, which is a great place to sit, you might want to bring like headphones or earplugs because it is loud, so it can cue the actors and cue or so everyone up towards the front can hear it and everything. But the sound was an improvement, and I think the characters and the story, it's a loose story. It's really just like a cavalcade of freaks, creatures, and characters. But I don't know. I definitely this year it's sticking in my head a lot more than it did last year. So I did enjoy that quite a bit. You can see Nocturne the Bat in here. There's some surprising creatures that I don't want to spoil. There's Pyrum, there's Beatrice, the witch, if you're into the Sir Henry's lore, if you've read the books, just to read some spooky short stories and narratives and stuff. Beatrice is kind of the main character of this. She's Sir Henry's rival. And she's the one introducing all these creatures into Sir Henry's event. So just that idea of her being like the darker side. This is like the dark side of Sir Henry's Haunted Trail, which is already kind of dark, as we'll talk about with some of these houses or trails. But with the hayride, I think just focusing on that just made for a really thrilling experience. And they get close, with their chainsaws and their creepiness. I had a lot of fun with this. I think it's really actually worth the upcharge this year.
Yeah, I totally agree. It was incredible. I definitely think it was even better than last year, and that's not just because of the hay, although that's a great improvement. But the lighting is really great. I do agree with sitting in the back is awesome if you have any kind of sound sensitivity, though maybe even if you don't. I would definitely recommend earplugs. I bring concert like high fidelity earplugs to everything, although I said on my Instagram, someone asked, our recommendations for scaredy cats. Earplugs help a lot. There's not as many of the non-actor generated sounds in the trails. It's a little bit different on the hayride because there's, speakers, of course, but there's still, the hitting of like oil drums or whatever they are, like the big metal things. So there's a lot of things being hit and there are some loud sounds. So I bring them for everything. It was great on the hayride though, because we sat in the back and which the back was an awesome spot, by the way. But I had them in and it was perfect because I could hear everything because it was right there. It wasn't muffled at all. But it took it down to a level where it wasn't like hurting my ears or bothering me. And again, that is a me thing, but it is pretty loud. So just judge that however you want. If you don't have special earplugs like I do, which there are ones that are like maybe $20 or something like that on Amazon. I'm sure there's cheaper ones. Mine are expensive because I like the loops a lot, but you could always use foam ones. But my recommendation for scaredy cats who are going on the haunted trail would be use some sort of earplugs and then sit on one of the inner seats because they do get pretty close to you there's basically you're on an outer seat or an inner seat. I would recommend an outer seat if you want to really see everything and get them up in your face. And I would recommend an inner seat if you're a little scared and just try to take it in from afar. But nobody's safe. So, don't think that you're getting a bad spot no matter what. That's just my recommendation if you have a choice. But it was incredible. The actors were fantastic. I think that if you don't do the hayride, you're truly missing out on something special this year. And I agree with you that maybe, I don't even remember what I said about it last year. It was probably something like, oh, it's cool if you want to do it. This year, I think it's integral to the event. And I think it's really, really special.
I agree. And that's another improvement they made too, was the seating, because last season it was like two aisles of seats. And I didn't get a great seat last year. I didn't get any of the scares because I was on the inner, in the middle, and then I was, like trying to look over people and everything. And that wasn't the case this year because it's only one aisle and there's some empty space. So like Nocturne of the Bat, for example, was on your side of the aisle and not on mine, but because of the way the seats were this year, I could see that character, and then you could see all the characters near me, like different vampires and trick-or-treaters and whatever that one creature was in the trick or I have no idea what that was, but it's pretty creepy. But yeah, I agree. Very integral.
Yeah. And also I wanted to point out too that anything that we talk about when we're talking about improvements, or I don't know if there's going to be anything we say needs to be improved. We're pretty positive on this event this year, but and in general, but anything we talk about, it was media night. So keep in mind, this is like their first run of things. I mean, I believe they did a disability night the night before media night, but this is like, always the first or second night they're doing this in front of people that I was going to say that they don't know, because they probably have like friends and stuff. I don't actually know, like go through and do like tech runs and things like that. But this is like their first like real event night. So, I mean, they did a fantastic job for media night. It's going to get better and better throughout the haunt season, which is really exciting.
I mean, the two guys who kind of oversee all of this, they said in their opening spiel that this is pretty much a dress rehearsal for the actors, and you really couldn't tell.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Which that's what's so crazy to me. I really want to go back again this season, and hopefully I'll get a chance to. It's so hard, especially because I'm in school during this time of year now. But it's just such a good event that it makes me want to go back, especially if that's their dress rehearsal. Like, good on them, because it was absolutely perfect. I had a great time. And the hayride, I keep forgetting the word hayride for some reason. My brain's like, we don't like hay. But the hayride was brilliant. Let's talk about the trails as well. So the first one we did was, you have the names in front of you and I don't.
Yeah, Agua de Muerte.
Thank you.
This is the one at the very front. So when you walk in, it'll be right to your right. I think my screen is flipped, so right. But the storyline is centuries ago, Spanish conquistadors journeyed out in search of the Fountain of Youth. Many failed to find such fortune, with the exception of one group of explorers landing along the Floridian coast. So, hey, local. They discovered mythical water flowing up from the ground. They begin to build a town, fort, defenses for their new settlement. As the citizens drink from the water, they claim to feel years younger and a new sense of vigor. But as the days and weeks go by, those who drank begin to rot and wither away until they were skeletal beings. When the settlers tried to close off the water supply, ancient beings appeared and began haunting the explorers. Unbeknownst to the town folk, the mystical waters had been cursed many years before by the original settlers. Anyone who drank from its waters would suffer the worst death imaginable. These waters are known as Las Aguas de Muerte, the fountain of death. I have two big highlights for this trail. I always like this one because it's, to me, everything in the front is like the special effects trail. And with this one in particular, there are two big highlights. One, the entire script is in Spanish. You're only going to hear Spanish in this trail, which ties into like the Spanish conquistadors and the explorers and the settlements and everything. I thought that was a really cool touch. I think it also kind of helps with if you've done scare zones at all, there's always like the victims and they're crying out, and that sense of horror is the sense of helplessness. And I think not knowing at all what they were saying, because sorry, profe, I lost my Spanish. It helped. It helped with that idea, because like, not only do I not understand, I also can't help. Or I guess the vice versa. And then when people are giving you warnings, like, I don't know the details of your warnings, but I don't think it's good. I heard muerte. That's probably not good. And then the second great thing was how much detail is in here. This is a bespoke trail. It looks nothing like it did last year. There are special effects in here, like a wobbly bridge. There are other special effects. I don't think all of them were online. Like, one is supposed to be the water flowing up. They did show that on their socials. I didn't see that working. But there's water flowing down from rocks in here and all of that. And there's sets that are completely unique, and it feels this trail was constructed specifically for this story, and that's always a very cool thing to see, whether we're at a Howl-O-Scream or a HHN, even at a local haunt like this. That's always very cool to see. And it goes to what we said earlier. All the money that they make goes into improving the haunts in the haunt. And so those two things were the big highlights for me, was the Spanish script and the special effects and the design, the production design.
Yeah, and this house I'm gonna keep saying houses, sorry guys. We've discussed this in previous episodes, but this is the one that if you go during Christmas and Valentine's Day, there's usually not a haunted hayride, and by that I mean there probably won't be during those events either, and there's usually something else in that area. But this is the trail that is not open during those. So during those events, there's usually 2 haunted trails, because this is the special effects trail, which means they need probably the entire year to get that done. I mean, they spend a lot of time working on those trails, and it shows. This trail was beautiful. I think that scene with the like bridge was probably one of my favorite kind of effects. There's a really cool like water effect. I don't want to give anything away, but there's also someone who's kind of taunting you while you're down there, and it's just really neat. So I loved that scene. I liked the finale scene a lot as well. But yeah, I have never wanted to understand Spanish more than I have in the past few years going to haunts, because like there's like horror nights, and I don't know if Howl-O-Scream has done any that are in Spanish. I can't think of any. Or at least not fully in Spanish.
Yeah, I'm not a Howl-O-Scream expert, but I don't recall it. I don't think anyone I did last year at either side of Central Florida. I'm trying to think what you call it. Central Florida did anything Spanish, but Fiesta de Chupacabras a few years ago at HHN,
right,
and Monstros this year. Yeah.
But I really love this trend, because there are a lot of people in Florida who speak Spanish, and I just think it's really cool that they can go through a haunt, and whether they're bilingual or only speak Spanish, and say, hey, like, I understand this. That's so cool. And I just think it's amazing. Even though I can't understand what they're saying, I'm like, the representation is just fantastic. And I understand a few words. I understand when they're telling me I'm gonna die. But yeah, I know what water means. I'm like, oh, they said water. There's gonna be water. So, like, it's just kind of funny testing my Spanish a little bit, because a lot of it is a lot of the main lines are like basic Spanish, and I just still don't know it. So maybe I need to start doing Duolingo. This is not a plug. We're not sponsored by Duolingo, but but I think it's really cool, and the representation is awesome. And it's the fact that it's like, Spanish conquistadors on the coast of Florida. Like, that's so Floridian history and everything. Like, it's just interesting. I think it's cool. So yeah, this was a really fun house. A lot of great effects. The actors are giving it their all. I don't know what they were asking me to help them with, but they were killing it.
Indeed. Speaking of killing, Pyram's Wrath is the second trail, and it's actually located behind Kelley, if you can see in her photo. It's the Haunted Mansion trail. And the storyline for this one, if you've been to Sir Henry's before, you know the Haunted Mansion trail. It has your favorite and least favorite, because it's so scary, right? It's got all the tricks and all the trappings that we've seen before, but it's got some new ones too. And the storyline for this one is there's an original character named Pyram. He's like a fire pumpkin man. And the storyline is 230 years ago, Pyram massacred the village who wrongfully killed him, and you can read that in the first Sir Henry's book, leaving behind one lone survivor, Jacob. Now, Jacob's descendants have formed the cult of Pyram. They seek to summon the ancient creature from the ground and kill him once and for all for their family. But to their misfortunes, they gravely underestimate the power of Pyram. The cult soon suffer the wrath their ancestors suffered before them. Growing stronger with each victim, the gourd becomes larger than life and destroys anyone in the way.
Spooky. And this is not Haunted Mansion TM, by the way. It's literally a mansion that's haunted.
Yes.
This house is always great. In the past few years, at least for the Halloween event, this has been like my favorite. And it's not this year, it's the next one we're going to talk about. But regardless, it's a fantastic trail. This is actually the one I did the most of the night, because the first time Adam went on the haunted hayride, I skipped because I thought I was going to have to sit on hay. Luckily, I didn't. But I got to try some food that we'll talk about in a little bit. And then I also got to meet with a lot of characters, and I had a good time. But I also saw that there was no line for this trail somehow, because people were in line for other things. And I was like, I'm going. This is my moment, because during the media night, gotta wait in the line. There's no VIP tickets. You're waiting in the line. So you got to just find the right timing. And that's exactly what you have to do, by the way, if you don't get VIP, or if you get VIP and are going through general, find the right timing. Find the right timing. But there was no one there. So I was like, well, it's now or never. I either go through my first Sir Henry's trail alone. I've never been through a Sir Henry's trail by myself until this event. Woohoo. And or you don't. And I almost chickened out in that long, long line that I was walking through the corral, because I don't mess up their lines. They work really hard to put up those queue lines. So I walked through that whole thing, and I was very scared, and I did it. But there's a lot of we're not going to spoil anything, but I feel like this had some of the most effective scares in the whole event this year. There's an interesting scare that a lot of people have talked about in the bookshelf section. If you know, you know. Great videos of that scare in people's videos, by the way, because this was one that we could only film selfie style. Adam and I have learned that we need to get a better lighting setup, because ours, maybe we'll put some on the Patreon, but they're a little dark, because that was our own fault for not bringing lighting rigs and things like that. But there are some other creators, and if you want to find them, ask me. I'm not going to list them off because there's so many, but I could tell you them off if you tell them off. I'm not going to tell them off. If you messaged me on the Theme Park Workshop Instagram, I could tell you some of the names of creators that you could look at their videos
and list them off. Probably
list them off, not tell them off. They're all great. I'm not telling anyone off. But there's some fun videos of that scene because it's doozy, but it's great. Wear your earplugs if you don't like sounds. And of course the closet scene. And they have changed it this year. There's not as much closet. It's something else now, and it's really cool and spooky. And it's just very effective. It feels it both has a similar feel to other of the like haunted home trails, and yet is so different. And there's a lot of awesome changes that they made. But this is a very classic, like spooky Halloween kind of theme. Obviously, there's pumpkins, there's victims, there's people eating people. It's very spooky. They're eating in that house. Sorry.
They are
I'll leave
eating
now.
and they are serving.
Exactly. It's just really good. What did you think of this one?
Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun with it too. I think I was saying like, it's as good as it's been before. There's a lot of the same effective, things that they do. And it sounds like I'm downplaying it when I say that, but it is still very, very scary. My mother, she's been going with us to these media nights. She goes with us to Sir Henry's because we've introduced it to her and she loves it so much. And so, if we have an extra slot in our media group, we always ask her to join us. But she jumps, at some haunts. We do a bunch of haunts. We do horror nights. She did Hallow Scream. She stunts Sir Henry's. I have never heard her scream the way she scrum in Pyram's Wrath before. It took me by surprise, but I think that just shows how effective and how scary these trails can be. If my mother, who's been watching horror movies since before she should have, and has been going to haunted attractions and doing scary things, to let out such a yell that you would think is a scare actor trying to scare you, not a person who's been scared, I think shows how scary Sir Henry's can be.
Yes, and we have a video of that moment as well.
Ah! Whoa! Wait, I don't know which way to go. I know. Hi, Mom. Is
that you? Oh my goodness, I thought it was a scare.
So I heard that, and I literally thought that was an actor. Like, I thought that was someone trying to scare someone. And I turned around because I heard Adam say, "Hi, Mom." And I was like, was that you? It was awesome. It literally could have been in a horror movie. So yes, I hope you enjoyed that because I did, being there in person. That was great. But yeah, exactly. Great trail. A lot of scenes and scares that are similar to previous, but that's not a bad thing because they're extremely effective every time, clearly, as evidenced. And I went through that by myself, and that area scared me as well, and I knew it was coming because of Adam's mom. So yeah, it's awesome. Now this next trail is, like I said, it could probably be top 3 of any Sir Henry trail I've ever done, including Christmas and Valentine's. Definitely top 5, but probably top 3. It's really, really good.
Yeah, I would, based on media night, this is probably going to be the most popular house. So make sure trail, the most popular trail, because it was at media night. I don't think we ever saw this line get short. Maybe at the very end, like in the last 5 minutes. So plan accordingly when you do go. But this is called the Ripper. Jack the Ripper? Yes. In 1891, this is the storyline, a mysterious serial killer prowls the nights in London. The murders that began on a small farm quickly spilled over into the city's streets. Cops feverishly work to find the culprit, but no progress is made as each day more and more citizens fall victim to these gruesome murders. The Ripper is out for blood, and no one is safe. The more he kills, the bolder the kills get. Oh, yeah, that's true. Now, with the police station being targeted, there is no safe haven for anyone that walks the streets at night. It's scary, man. It's scary. This is the all the way in the back. This is their village trail, and it looks very different than it has in the past. Like there's some, you still have the slaughtered lamb callback. Shout out American Werewolf. But some, the sets it largely resembles things that that was before, but so much is different, and that kind of threw me off. I'm like, I don't know what to expect anymore because I've walked these village streets several times, and now I'm seeing walls where I didn't see walls before. I'm seeing open spaces that look different now. So that definitely helps with the fear. But the Ripper character himself is the scariest character I think Sir Henry has ever done. He is so menacing. And I think honestly, there's the first time or second time we see him, it might be like a mannequin, but I don't know that. Because I was afraid he was going to move into battle me at any point. And then eventually he did, and I'm like, ah! He's a very scary individual. And yeah, I mean, Sir Henry's has a lot of great original characters. We've mentioned several of them before. We've shouted out all of them in the common area. You won't see the Ripper in the common area, I don't think. I think
Thank goodness for that.
He's very scary. I mean, what else could he's scary.
This is such a funny thing to say, but this is not your grandma's Jack the Ripper, okay? This is modern day horrifying Jack the Ripper. I don't like him. He's scary, and I do like him because he's very effective, but I don't like him because he's scary.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of trails too, you're like, this is an actor, this is someone who created their character. They're having a lot of fun here. Jack the Ripper in this house feels like a whole other being, completely separated from Sir Henry's. That's how spooky he is.
It was so good. There's also one of my favorite scenes. Again, we're not going to give anything away that's too, I'm not going to tell you exactly what happens, spoilery, but so if you've done the village trail before, you walk up to the village and there's actors that are there and they talk to you, taunt you, scare you, whatever you call it. But then much later in the trail, there's a spot where you can see them again. And that part, these are like young actors too. They did such an effective and fantastic scare scene. Oh man. And it just really makes the trail more ominous. Like I feel like that was probably one of the parts of the trail that I was like, oh, we're really getting into it now. Like this is really horrifying. And it was just such an effective scene. But I love that they're able to use the set that way. That's like, hey, you're getting scared from these actors here, but they're going to turn right around and get you in a couple minutes over here. It was really well done. And the fact that I went through that trail twice and the timing was on point both times. So, people are human, but that to get that so down and so effective was awesome. So yeah, I mean, just really cool. And they've done similar things like that before. Christmas, that trail was really fun and still scary, but a little more you were interacting a lot more in a silly way, or at least we were when we went through it 6 times. And it was just kind of a different effect, but they still did that where they saw you later on in the trail. This was creepy and ominous. This trail was not messing around. It was so much fun.
Definitely. As soon as you started talking about that, I'm like, oh, I got chills. Because that was a chilling portion of that trail. I don't know how they get the timing the way they got it. That was because you're right. In the past, they've been like, blah, 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 Here I'm not going to spoil the scare, but they weren't doing the same thing they were doing the first time we saw them, which is wild because there are people constantly going through. I don't know how the timing worked out like that. Um, well, I think that is the longer timer though. Now that I'm thinking about it, when they time us before going in, I think that's the longest wait. So that's probably how they pulled it
Oh,
off.
that's true because I don't think we've touched on this episode, but they do separate you into groups. Which is a lot of haunts do that. It's different from Halloween Horror Nights if that's the only one you've done
Orlando's
or the one
Halloween
you've done the
Horror
most.
Nights, anyway.
That's true. Yeah, we haven't been to Hollywood yet, or we definitely haven't been to like the ones out of the country.
But Hollywood pulses and Hallow Scream pulses.
Oh,
This also pulses.
okay.
Yeah. That's what
Yeah, so
yeah.
so Hallow Scream and a lot of other local haunts will pulse. This one they pulse you really well. So they have a timer.
Specifically by your group is what you're saying.
Yes, exactly, by your group. And I didn't touch on this yet. I literally told you during the event that I wanted to remember to touch on this.
Thank you for remembering.
One thing I really like about Sir Henry's, and I think a group, by the way, you can have as many or as few as you want. I think a group of about 3 or 4 when you're going through is like perfect to get the scares. So maybe if you have a bigger group, you could consider splitting it into smaller ones because I personally find that to be the most effective. But I really think that you get a very different experience depending on where you're at in your lineup. So if you're the first person going through, obviously that's scary because it's just ominous that you're the first person to experience things and there's a lot of scares that you're going to get in the front. But then in the back, there are some actors that will follow you and there's some effects that take a little bit of time to set off and they happen a little bit later. That maybe the front person misses. And if you're in the middle, you're definitely still not safe. And you're going to get some that, the other people don't get. So I just think it's really cool that where you stand can kind of affect your experience. And not significantly usually. I mean, you're still going to get, the whole experience. But again, that's why we recommend the VIP. This is definitely why we recommend the VIP, though, because we want you to have the best experience and you're gonna get the best experience if you can kind of switch up your order and go through multiple times. If you are someone who wants every single scare, that's how you gotta do it. If you're not and maybe you're terrified and you can't go through more than once, then get one of those more general tickets. The one that includes the hayride, I would still recommend for you. But if you want to see everything, that's what I want. And I try to go through these multiple times in different positions. Like we'll look at each other and say, okay, who went first? Okay, I'm going to go in the middle. I never go in the back because I'm too scared. I do sometimes go in the back, especially if it's just me and Adam, but it's scary. I don't like when they follow me. It's so effective that it's too scary. And I'm desensitized almost to jump scares. Not quite, but a lot. I've been going since I was about 12 to haunts. So, I'm pretty used to jump scares, but when they follow you like that, ooh, it's so good. Anyway, especially in this one. I don't know if I could have done this one alone. The Ripper is very, very spooky. There's some really cool big kills too, like big like kill scenes with the Ripper, and
it's a level of violence I'm not used to as Henry's Haunted Trail.
Yeah.
I don't think he was a kid doing that ending.
No. So anyway, that was our favorite. But there's a lot of things to love about Sir Henry's. And let's talk about some other things. Do we want to start with merch, food? Let's talk about merch.
All right. So with merch, they've got a brand new cookbook. If you followed Sir Henry's before, you might know that they have their novels and short stories, the trilogy. And this year they have some of that as well as a whole event history with some recipes inspired by the characters in the new cookbook. I know they're very excited about that. There's also the hayride t-shirt, the event t-shirt, which I have on right now, featuring one of the characters, and his name is Cyrus, the old tree man. There's also Pyram on the back of it. That's something to keep in mind for this shirt. Is I know some people prefer like the smaller design and then the bigger design on the back, or vice versa, or just one design and nothing on the other side. This is like a full design like this on both sides of the shirt. So I know that makes some people that's their preference. It's not their preference, so just be aware of that. And then 2025 calendar is another new merch option they have this year. We had fun flipping through that. Love December because we saw all of our favorite Christmas characters. I don't know if it was the effect, but as we're flipping through, like, oh yeah, that's Beatrice, that's Sir Henry, of course, he's in October, and then we flipped to December, and then saw the elves, and we went, aw, it was very sweet though.
Not to mention, just so everyone gets the full picture, all three of us did that at the same time in like the same tone. And the merch person was like, what? And started laughing at us because it was just so like funny. But we just like, I don't know. The Christmas event is maybe we love it so much because I don't think there's any other Christmas haunts that we go to in our area. Not that maybe I've been to one before, but not regularly. So it just means a lot to us because it's like, I love Christmas and Halloween. So it's kind of like combining them. So we usually try to go to that one a lot. And so it was just nice. We saw a lot of our friends that we get to interact with a lot. And
We stand Alabaster Brown Nose. We stand Alabaster Brown Nose.
And media night is always fun because, you know, we get to we're the people that are closing out media night every single time. And we like to hang out with the characters as much as possible and get to chat with people. So yeah, we were really emotional looking at that December photo, but that calendar was really awesome.
But there's other merch as well, like candles and hot sauces and apparel, other fun things, but those are like some of the new highlights that I noticed this year.
There's also always some really cool, or at least in the past few years, there's been really cool earrings that somebody hand makes. I don't know if it's somebody on the Sir Henry's team or if it's like, or who makes them, but they're really awesome. And they actually have some Sir Henry's ones this year, which I don't remember if they did last year. So they had really cool ones that said Sir Henry. I think they had one with the symbol. But they had some really fun earrings, like Halloween earrings in general. I think they had some even non-Halloween ones if you wanted to do that. But they had cool like purses and stuff too. They had some clothing that was non-Sir Henry's branded. They actually had Sir Henry's branded bags like fanny packs and crossbodies, which were cool too. But they had other just general Halloween ones and regular ones. So they have a wide variety of merchandise. There's magnets and buttons and pins and stuff too. There's just a lot of really cool stuff. But it was pretty cool.
Also returning this year is a lot of the food. The shaved ice is back with its special flavors. The corn dogs are back with the corn dogs. The lemonade is back. Kelley, you like that strawberry lemonade?
I love the strawberry lemonade. So if anyone went during Valentine's Day weekend, it's the same lemonade stand from there, although they're in a different location. They have a whole like booth now instead of like a little tent, which was cool. So I'm glad they did that because it was awesome. Last year it was like they handpicked the strawberries. I assume they still did that this year. They had handpicked them. And February was like strawberry season too. So I don't know if it's any different, but they're in Plant City, which is like the strawberry area. That's where they have the strawberry festival. So they had handpicked them and cut them, and they were like, you know, fresh sliced strawberries, which was great. And this year it was like pureed strawberries, but it's still just as fresh. It tasted almost exactly the same. It was amazing. And it looks cool because it's like red lemonade. It's kind of spooky. I don't know. It's got the puree. But it was delightful. It tasted so good. I almost got multiple of them in the same night. And if I told you that one of the reasons I'm considering wanting to go back is because of that lemonade, I'm not lying. Obviously, the trails and everything are number one, but that lemonade is up there. It was really great. So the strawberry lemonade was awesome. They also have a regular lemonade, and then Adam got the pretty lemonade.
I did, which I believe is the regular lemonade with some food coloring to make it look fun. They do kind of what they do with the margaritas, and they put the sugar rim, and then there's a gummy eyeball sticking out the top, which it was very tasty. And the gummy, I like a good gummy. Who doesn't love a good gummy? But that strawberry lemonade, if I went back, I would have gotten that over it because it is so good. But the Sir Henry's lemonade, or the Sir Henry special lemonade, I forget exactly what it's called. But that was good. It was good, and it's got so much sugar around the rim for you margarita girlies and others. Margaritas aren't just for women.
True, that's true. Girly is gender neutral.
Yeah.
But I call everyone a girly, so unless they don't want me to, but I use girlies as a gender neutral term. Anyway, so also the gummy eyeball is on a straw, in case anyone was wondering. I discovered that. So if you don't want the sugar as you're drinking it, you can use the straw as well. But it was definitely, if you want it to be cute for your Instagram, or you don't like strawberry, get the Sir Henry's lemonade, which is the regular lemonade, but it's pretty and fun. If you like strawberry, get the strawberry lemonade. It's one of the best things I've ever had. It's high praise. It's very good. I love lemonade.
And then
the corn dogs. I had a corn dog. You were on the hayride. I wanted to make sure that I remembered to talk about this. So, and we didn't have the shaved ice, by the way. Every year we say we're going to get it, and then we end up getting so many other treats, but the flavors are awesome. I'm also just not really a shaved ice girly. So if you like shaved ice, it is like the, you know, it just looks amazing. Like, it looks so refreshing. I know that there's people that get it every single time. They have really fun flavors. So check that out if you like shaved ice, or if you're hot and you need to cool down. It's ice. Try it out. But next to that is the corn dog stand. And I was hungry. I hadn't really had like a dinner. And I was like, can I get a corn dog? And I was like, oh, do you have ketchup and mustard? And they said, oh, you're not going to need that on this corn dog. The people working the stand. And I was like, okay. And I always put condiments on my hot dog and corn dogs. Like, unless it's, I was going to say an emergency. When is there ever an emergency when I'm eating a hot dog? I don't know. If it's too difficult, I'll just eat it plain. But I love a condiment. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm just going to eat it plain because they told me to, and it was amazing. It's so juicy and fresh and awesome. But we also got mini donuts, and that was absolutely delicious. We got them right at the end of the night, and I would highly recommend.
Yes, cinnamon and apple are the two options. So definitely recommend. They're a good way to end the night. And then lastly, there are upcharge attractions. So you have your hayride, you have your trails, you have your tickets that get you into both, or just the trails. But no matter which tickets you have, they do have $5 upcharge escape challenges and axe throwing. So axe throwing, it's axe throwing. You could throw 8 axes for $5. And then the escape challenges, they have these every year. They're in their dedicated stand. The first is Smile, which is based on the Tooth Fairy character that they have going around. So she kind of interacts with this one. And then the second one is Wasp, Werewolf Apprehension, Service, and Protection. And I don't see any werewolves about, so I don't know which character ties in with this. We also were not able to do these during media night. They didn't have them open during media night. We also didn't get to tour the room this time, so I think there's still, or when we went, I think they're still working out some things in there. But I know this can go either way for people. I know, Kelley, you've had some fantastic experiences in here. I know for me, I'm always down to the wire, and you only have 3 minutes to solve these challenges and puzzles. And by the time it's over, we've solved how to do it. It's just a matter of doing it sometimes. But this isn't like an escape room. This isn't, like in the traditional sense. This isn't an escape adventure. Like if you're going to a great movie escape in Universal, this is very much a 3-minute escape challenge, or a puzzle challenge. It's probably a better way to think of it. And then you can buy those tickets, I think, at the Donut Cafe, or
I think it's the merch stand, but I'm actually not sure. If you're in that area, someone will be able to tell you.
Yeah, and they have signs. They have signs, so.
Yes. But it's very quick. If you like a challenge, if you're really good at escape games and things, I'm not. There was one time where I got out in like 1 second. It was in the 2021 elf escape room. That was awesome. Since then, I have been chasing that high, and I have, by my own failure, not done a great job in the scare zones, that's not what they're called, escape games. But if you really like the lore, which is usually why we do it, if you got an extra $5 or $10, if you want to do both, I'd highly recommend it. And they're fun. Even if you don't make it out, the stories are fun, and if you do make it out, trust me, the feeling is really, really awesome.
Yeah. But that about covers all of Sir Henry's Haunted Trail for the October Halloween season. If you do unfortunately miss this season, which you shouldn't, try to make plans for it. We'll have all the information in the description below, and all of that jazz, so you can buy your tickets. And of course, on the YouTube, we'll have some graphics up. But make sure you do come to it. They'll also have a Christmas event and a Valentine's event, but Halloween, they put their all, and I mean, they put their all into everything, but like literally everything goes into Halloween. They build these sets fresh for Halloween. And these are great characters this season, and these are great trails and a great hayride, and everything this season. So do make sure you make it out here for that. And we're not saying that just because we went to media night. We've been saying this since before, and we mean every word of it. If you have any questions about it, reach out to Sir Henry's on Twitter, or reach out to us on our Instagram and Twitter, which is, what is our Instagram, Kelley? Because I know you run that operation.
I do. Our Instagram is Theme Park Workshop. You'll find posts there. You can also message me. I'm the one who runs that. That is the best place to contact me if you have questions or want to chat or collaborate, any of the above, because I will get those notifications and check that the most often. We're also on TikTok. I'm trying to post a little more on there again. It's Theme Park Workshop as well. Don't message me on there because I never check those messages, so sorry if anyone has. Go to Instagram, or you can message us on Twitter. Bella is the one who runs that, so she'll usually be the one to answer, but we all get the notifications. It's a workshop TP, so we can talk to you on there as well. Thanks a lot, Elon, for making us make it, or whoever. I guess Elon wasn't in charge, but when we made it, but
I still want to blame him.
But let's still blame him, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't fix it.
Exactly. And I'm also on the Facebook. Again, I don't really check those messages very easily, but Theme Park Workshop on the Facebook as well. Adam is on the Patreon, which we have links for that as well.
Yep, patreon.com/theme park workshop. You can find me at AdamJ_film on Twitter. Kelley, where can the people find you?
You can't. Just kidding. It's killer_Kells on Twitter or kells.hoff on Instagram. And I'd love to see you guys on there. Come hang with us virtually.
Yeah, and I can't forget Bella. You can follow Bella at Flynn Rider's Nose on Instagram and at Bella Harvey with 2 Y's on Twitter. And is that everything?
That is all. Well, make it to Sir Henry's. Do not miss it. And let us know what you think. We'd love to hear it.
Bye.
Bye.